All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS preseason video. Got the week one coverage here for you, the Thursday, Friday slate. Got a guest in here, Isaac Wenzel. He's going to be starting to do these videos with us weekly. So another insight. He's more of a betting narrative and more of a, how would you sum it up? How would you sum up your style is?
Definitely a betting nerd. I'm less analytical and I'm more of a gut guy, which can be great at times and it can be a lot more fun, but sometimes it can be detrimental. But at the same time, it's another esoteric approach to the world of both betting, fantasy football, DFS, so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to this. This is awesome.
Yeah, you guys have seen Brooks on the channel before. That's also what he goes by, Brooks Radio, because you can tell just based on that audio right there, that nice audio there. He's actually in the studio right now, so got the good setup going there.
Working overtime just for you.
That's just for you guys there. So there we go. But yeah, we got a pretty good one here. Just doing a quick recap of last week, the Hall of Fame game. That was a pretty fun one. And kind of the thing with preseason DFS is that you can find some tendencies in what coaches are going to do. Last week it was a little bit easier because it was kind of the typical preseason schedule, week 1 through week 4, where this week it's kind of a hybrid because there's only 3 preseason games for every other team now. For week 1 this week, I think it's going to be more of a hybrid approach for these coaches where it's going to be kind of like week 1 and week 2 last year. Might not be as telling, I guess, as what normally it is for coaches. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think ultimately when it comes down to all of these coaching staffs, for the most part, outside of obviously the Cowboys and the Steelers in this situation, yeah, you're right. It could be a combination. I think ultimately what these coaches want to see are these positional battles and where they're going to find some depth and get these younger guys a run. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think we're in this trajectory where we're going to lean towards maybe even eventually another preseason game possibly being eliminated. It's literally more of a dress rehearsal at this point.
I hope not, man. I love preseason.
I know, because this is such a great opportunity. But especially as the NFL wants to maximize on these games as much as possible, the 17-game regular season schedule now. And I mean, we learned last year we didn't have a preseason, but you had and it was a little shaky, don't get me wrong, to start the regular season, and we saw some stuff develop a little bit later than we normally would. But also, I mean, this is about filling out the depth chart, seeing which guys make the team, who can contribute in ways maybe that, like outside of their position, whether it is kick return. You got kickers we're trying out. We got to get them in game situations and some and competitions, so to speak. And those we're finding out who the RB3 is, who the QB2 is. And again, it's a dress rehearsal to some extent. But again, there are some ways to capitalize on these opportunities. And I think ultimately, whether the coach decides to play all of their starters initially remains to be seen per matchup and will be on an individual basis. But, there might be some surprises too. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I like it pretty much I like the edge in preseason DFS, but I also like it to see potentially season long for fantasy football. There's a lot of players that maybe it might not even be this year, but eventually they might start to pop up. One guy that we're going to talk about as a perfect example of that is going to be Jacoby Myers for the New England Patriots. He's one of those guys who was really catching my eye just following the tea leaves in preseason pretty much in training camp and whatnot. He's a guy that really caught my eye a lot in previous years, but now, that was my segue into the New England Patriots right there. I did a decent job there. Not as good as you, but, it was pretty good. But yeah, the New England Patriots here, the thing that I like about them is Billy B, he sticks to his script. He typically sticks to really just one running back, but just overall, the New England Patriots have ran the ball the second most out of any team over the last 2 preseasons, which is very telling to me. That means that we do want to really target a running back here, but not only that, just their team as a whole is really just geared up in the preseason. He coaches them up correctly. So just looking at it as a whole, Bill Belichick in week 1 of the NFL preseason is 14-7 against the spread, which is something obviously we'll talk at the end of this segment about.
That's betting good to know.
Yeah,
because I had some kind of conflicting numbers in preseason in general and not week 1. So we'll get to that in a second though.
Yeah. So his teams are just more coached up come week 1 is what it is. But just as a whole, that makes me excited for their whole team. But just looking at it from the running back standpoint, Tyler Gaffney He's a guy that was released on Tuesday, so that really just leaves Sony Michel, Damian Harris, James White, Ramondre Stevenson, JJ Taylor, and then Brandon Bolden. So let's just kind of do process of elimination. Damian Harris has been a running back that's been a little bit banged up throughout his NFL career. Probably not going to get as much playing time. Sony Michel, maybe he will. He's kind of fighting for a roster spot, it seems like. You got James White, who's a veteran, and then Brandon Bolden, who's a special teams guy. So pretty much the two players that they don't really know about are going to be Stevenson and JJ Taylor. And Stevenson is pretty much that exact player that is like the bell cow, preseason bell cow. He's kind of a backup player that is going to get touches. Pretty much he wants to wear out his backup players that are not going to play during the preseason. That's what Ramondre Stevenson is going to be. We saw it in preseason 2018. There's 3 running backs that had over 10 carries, and there's 3 total rushing TDs. In 2019, Nick Grossetti carried the ball 22 times, 66 yards and a TD. And even Brandon Bolden had 12 carries as well. So the opportunity is there for at least one of these running backs, maybe even 2. So I'm going to be looking at Stevenson and then JJ Taylor as well, kind of a James White type back. Do you have a little bit of insight on JJ Taylor at all?
JJ Taylor, I'm still that's a good call, but honestly, like Stevenson ultimately was what I was most looking forward to in this game as far as just opportunity goes. I know we've kind of been looking at this running back field, but ultimately you have Damian Harris, James White. They're pretty much locks on the roster, unless that's the question. Could he make enough of an impression to maybe knock on James White's door a little bit? But I really think the third running back spot is coming down to Stevenson and Michel. Mm-hmm. But also Bill Belichick is a guy that's typically likes his 4 running backs, and he likes to rotate these guys and throw us for a curveball. The one I'm most excited about, honestly, is Stevenson personally.
Yeah. So for, I guess how I would say to do it is Stevenson in most of your lineups for this one, but JJ Taylor should get like a full second half against backups. That's appealing too. I'm even fine with playing both of them in the same DFS build, which is kind of crazy. It's I guess the Cleveland Brown style. You can play Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I think you can do that tonight with the New England Patriots, but I think we got that pretty good for the running backs. Let's move on into the quarterbacks. I'll just give some stats real quick and I'll let you talk about it. So in 2019, week 1 of the preseason, the New England Patriots kind of had a quarterback controversy, I guess, going on before they brought in Cam Newton. It was Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer. They wanted to get a good look at both of them. Stidham ended up throwing the ball 24 times, and Brian Hoyer threw the ball 14 times. Should note that they both had a TD in that one. And then just going back to 2018, it was only Brian Hoyer, and he threw the ball 23 times. So kind of going back to it, it's like that tells me that they're going to try to get a good look at some of these guys. Cam Newton probably only going to play maybe 3 series. So it's going to be Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer. What are your thoughts on the quarterback room here?
Yeah. So yesterday we had the conversation, and just when we were kind of talking about this yesterday, and I was kind of leaning towards Brian Hoyer, but I've talked myself more into Mac Jones. I already saw here that, yes, Cam Newton, he is warming up. So it looks like he will be at least starting and playing a couple of series. We'll see how long that lasts. I mean, you know what you're going to get. You know what you have with Cam Newton. You had a whole season with him and an entire career of tape to look at. Yeah. And then you also have Brian Hoyer. You have a long run of Brian Hoyer film too. You know what you're getting with those two guys. Obviously the big question mark is Mac Jones. He's probably not a guy that's going to be starting week 1. He's going to maybe take some time to develop under Belichick's offense. So why not give him an opportunity to develop in some real snaps and give him that opportunity? So I'm excited about Mac Jones. I think you might have some flashes of greatness and some exciting stuff, since he is arguably one of the more ready QBs as far as knowledge and skill set goes, even though he's not the most flashy guy. But I think you're going to see some moments of greatness, and we're going to see, most importantly, the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, I kind of see him getting like a half of football, and then maybe Brian Hoyer getting a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
Or a quarter and a couple series. So that's going to be good enough for me. So just kind of looking at it for some passing targets that we might want to go off of. N'Keal Harry has been getting a ton of hype out of camp. He's probably going to run with the 1s and 2s a little bit. Those are going to be quality, I guess, series that he's going to get, but the one player that I'm really focused on is going to be Christian Wilkerson, undrafted free agent out of the 2020 class. He's been getting a lot of praise out of camp, kind of the second most praise it really seems like out of anyone out of their camp, and it probably goes N'Keal Harry praise and then Wilkerson praise. Wilkerson's going to be getting a ton of those second half snaps, which if you're the best player playing with the group in the second half, I guess, or the best receiver, the chances are you're going to get some of those targets. So I don't mind doing a stack with Wilkerson, maybe even Harry, and then just kind of splitting it with both the quarterbacks, Mac Jones in some, and then Brian Hoyer in some of them. You got any feel for that? Any of the starters or anything you want to go with?
Obviously, you're going to want to hope that, you're going to be able to match those two up at the same time. And I mean, we've seen, and I've bought in to the N'Keal Harry hype at times, and you've seen him and Cam at least together. And I mean, it was a little underwhelming, but hey, this is preseason after all. So I would dabble in a Cam Newton, a N'Keal Harry stack potentially, because I mean, it's not like Cam's going to necessarily be doing those goal line carries, that wildcat quarterback we typically see in the regular season. He's going to be a little bit more of a pocket passer, and he might throw a couple balls up to N'Keal Harry and instead of avoiding taking a hit. So, I mean, ultimately, I don't hate it. Jacoby Myers, I'm digging. It's one of those things where it's the classic Bill Belichick and unpredictability. And even if this is the most transparent he is, the most telling thing and the most exciting element, I would say out of this bunch are running back and quarterback. Receivers is more of a crapshoot for me.
Yeah. All right. So just breaking it down, we are doing the Thursday night coverage here, guys, for you. We will be doing the Friday coverage. I'll have that time stamped in the description below. Got Isaac Wenzel, aka here, Brooks Radio here, covering the Thursday night games. Just got done doing the Patriots. I will mention Troy from Magali as a tight end for them as well. Hunter Henry is injured. He's a receiving tight end. Don't mind him, but all good options there. If you guys are tuning in, make sure to like and subscribe to this video. Got some good stuff coming here for you guys. But moving on into the Washington football team. First of all, do you think that they'll have a team name by 2022?
Well, it's not going to be Warriors. I believe that's what they were looking at.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Previously, that's at least what I believe Dan Snyder, that's what they said he would be willing to switch to initially.
Yeah.
But it's become very apparent in the world of picking sports team names that you got to be as calculated as possible, and you got to do as much research as possible because, I mean, how long it took some of these new franchises in the NHL to do it, it seemed to turn out well. I feel like you say what you want about the Kraken. I think it's a sweet name.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then the Cleveland Guardians. It's been kind of a lukewarm reaction, to say the least, when you had the Spiders right in front of you. But I don't. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a little bit yet.
I like it. I
don't mind football team.
I love it.
Exactly, and I think we're gonna get used to it. Where, I mean, I don't know.
It's on brand. I don't know. It's like perfectly on brand.
Well, and I saw, by the way, not to get off to topic here, but I saw on TikTok that here in Indy, there's lids that's still selling Redskins gear.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, I don't know if they are anymore, but they were as of a couple of months ago.
Huh,
so
that's very interesting.
I got to look into that and see if I can find it. But anyways,
some retro gear, huh?
Right. I thought that was fascinating. Like, the fact that lids is selling it too. Yeah. It's not like a discount clearance type of section. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, on the Washington football team side, I think there's lots to look forward to.
Yeah. So just kind of looking at the historical preview of Ron Rivera, obviously last year was his first year in Washington. So the data that we're going to go off of is when he was in Carolina. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess, if you will. But really with him is that he really spread out the love. Starters might get around 3 series or so. Typically, he just wants to see his starters play well, produce, and he's kind of already come out and said that hey, don't really know how long the starters are going to play. They just need to be effective when they do. So that could mean 1 series where they get a touchdown. That could mean 3 series and no touchdown because they weren't that effective. So it really just comes down to how the offense produces. That being said, it's going to be tough to gauge kind of which quarterback to go off of. I got a really fun stat for your boy Taylor Heineke there. When he was in Carolina, He was there with Ron Rivera. He never threw the ball over 15 times in a preseason game in week 1 and week 2. Kind of the same situation going on back then as it is now. Just a weird stat that was like, how does that happen? It just could be a thing where Ron Rivera already kind of knows what he has in him, doesn't really care to see all too much. What are your kind of thoughts on the QB battle between Fitz and Taylor Heinicke and possibly for tonight?
So we kind of had a little bit of dialogue, and I'm starting to almost backpedal on it a little bit. The beauty of Taylor Heinicke is the fact that he's a guy that you can kind of keep in your back pocket. And if things aren't working for Fitzmagic, which typically that's the case, you'll want to start the season with him and see how you can do with that stout defense. But Heineke's a guy you can tag in and he'll show flashes of greatness. You don't have a lot of tape on him, especially if you could maybe even switch quarterbacks at halftime sometime if it's a rough start for Fitzmagic and you got to bench him. So I like Heinicke. I'm a Heinicke truther, so to speak. But
there's Heinicke truthers.
Yeah, I know. It's a very, very small fan club. But I will also tell you that, and I get the point that you're making with the stats with those two in Carolina as a pairing. But looking back on it, was really Taylor Heinicke in a situation in which he was going to be a guy competing for or potentially be a QB1? Not really, not in Carolina at the time. Now you're in a situation where he's kind of the 1B in this situation on the depth chart. He's obviously QB2 right now, but he's lingering. So this is a guy you're going to maybe want to see some more reps in than compared to other situations. So I like Taylor Heinicke from a DFS standpoint at the very least, because I think he's going to get some opportunities and maybe while some of the first teamers are still out there with him, he might get some quality matchups there, favorable ones where he's able to make an impact against Belichick's defense.
Yeah, I agree with that approach. Like if I had to choose one specifically, it'd be him. And I like your point about how, it is a little bit different situation as opposed to it was in Carolina. One thing that I do want to point out, my boy Kyle Allen, he's probably the best quarterback on this roster, and he's injured right now. So they're just waiting for him to come back is all it is right now. Kind of BS in there, but I like Kyle Allen.
I know you do.
But he's injured, which brings up my point here is that Steven Montez here, he is going to most likely play a good quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, maybe a full half. They only have 3 active quarterbacks. Like we already said, Fitzpatrick's probably going to get max 3 series. Then it's going to be Taylor Heinicke, and that's going to be Montez. One thing to note is that this dude has sucked in the preseason so far, or in camp, I should say so far. Apparently, he's thrown a pick in like every single practice, and sometimes multiple picks in scrimmages and whatnot. So that really gets me excited to play Patriots defense as a whole. Once again, going back to that, Bill Belichick is 14-7 covering the spread in week 1 of NFL preseason. His teams are coached up in week 1 of the NFL preseason, going against a guy that has played horrible against Washington's 3rd string and 4th stringers. That gets me highly appealing for Patriots defense, but still, we're going to get a guy that's going to play a decent amount. All it takes is one throw to get a touchdown. He could throw 2 picks and still get a 50-yard deep bomb touchdown. So someone to play a little bit, but no one you want to go out of your way to play too much. And then just moving on into kind of the running back room, I feel like there's not that much to love. I like Jared Peterson a little bit. He's a small, fast, quick guy. And if you're going to maybe potentially stack a running back with one of those guys, with one of those quarterbacks, you could go with Peterson just because, like I said, he's going to catch some passes out of the backfield. And he's probably going to be their running back that they use the most here. I don't mind him. The veteran running backs are going to be Peyton Barber, Lamar Miller, and Jonathan Williams, all kind of battling for that last RB spot. What are your feelings for that RB room for those veterans? Do you have a gauge of which one you want to use if you're going to use any of them tonight?
Right. Obviously, Antonio Gibson's a lock as RB1, and there's a lot of hype and excitement for him, slightly understandably so. I'm all in. But, I honestly, I think Peyton Barber is going to be a guy that actually, he's your Kalen Balazs pick from last week.
Ooh.
That's what Peyton Barber
that
feels
great
like.
Kalen Balazs pick, the only rushing touchdown, the highest scoring.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're this offense, it might move the chains a little bit. They're not gonna they're not gonna show some flashy passing play to really either not expose, but their playbook or anything, or show off Taylor Heineke's arm. They're gonna, like a lot of these teams, probably keep it vanilla. And Peyton Barber, I think, could get some goal line opportunity. It won't be fun. It won't be exciting, except if you have him in your lineup. So yeah, no, I like Peyton Barber in this strictly for opportunity.
And that's the thing with like preseason DFS, you have to have some bold calls like that as well. And, you know, he could easily get a goal line touchdown. I guess if anyone was likely to get a rushing TD, I would say it probably would be him. So I don't mind that call. You know, get 6 kind of easy points. That'd be pretty nice. I don't mind that. Maybe 10% of GPPs. I really don't mind that. And then just moving on into kind of the receiver situation. It seems like this guy has been getting the most hype out of camp. I'm talking about De'Ami Brown here. This guy has been getting so much hype out of camp, and he is kind of playing for a starting receiver spot for this team. Now, they brought in Curtis Samuel. They brought in Adam Humphries. Those two are pretty good quality receivers.
And this is my McDonald's order.
They got an ad going. McDonald's, dude?
Gotta love it.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
we'll get some royalties. Don't worry.
Quick thing here, and the chat can say it too. I'm thinking about doing a challenge. My work has been doing challenges, eating challenges. We did a Little Caesars pizza challenge. Who could eat it the fastest? I won. You know, whatever. We also did 50 McNuggets. The goal is to get 5 minutes. That was cool. But we're gonna try to do 10 McDoubles in 10 minutes. What time do you think that? Could you do it? And then what time could you do it in? Because I think like 12
10 McDoubles
minutes.
in 10 minutes.
I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't think I'm gonna get 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think you're gonna do what normally happens with me when it comes to competitions. You might actually go too hard, too fast.
Yeah.
Where like I am like in a drinking competition, I drink way too much too fast. That might be the case there. I don't know. I don't know if I like your chances there. That's not.
That's a challenge.
Task.
That's a challenge there. But
I think you're the same way where we could eat a lot, but it's got to be over a period of time.
Yeah. You know what else is a challenge? Trying to cover De'Ami Brown, and that's why he's going to score a touchdown tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if honestly he dominates tonight. This guy, he's looked good on the preseason film that we've seen as well. I don't mind him. Like if we're doing a stack for Washington, he needs to be in those stacks. If you want a game stack as well, he needs to be in that game stack. He's a guy where you could just kind of solo him out there as well. He's been that talented, been that hyped up, and it makes a lot of sense for him to get a decent amount of snaps. Probably, you know, good second quarter and a good amount of snaps in the third quarter. So I like him. And I also don't mind Cam Sims as well. He's fine. Those are kind of the two that I would go with in Washington.
You nailed it. I say no more.
Moving on. All right. So we got the Steelers here versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Actually, I got to pump the brakes super quick.
Oh, yeah, betting.
From a betting standpoint, and this is what the point I was going to make, to slightly contradict your stats from Belichick standpoint. Of course, so now the money line's been moving a little bit. It was Patriots. They were favored by 2. Now it's 1 for what it's worth.
Okay.
Also, the over-under is 37. But fading against Belichick and the preseason against the spread, you will be, it's about 53%. So, you know, there is some opportunity there. And then Ron Rivera, about 54% against the spread in the preseason. 19, so 19, 16, and 1. So that's something like, again, I think the money's starting to move towards the football team here. It's a bet I made. So, but I like what you brought up there about week 1, Belichick, preseason 2. So
I kind of think I like New England in this one. We'll have to split decisions on this one.
I'm not really touching the over under in that one either.
Yeah.
The next one I'm a little bit more excited about.
I wouldn't mind going the over in that one. Just like I said, he brings his teams prepared.
I did go over, but
okay.
I did, but
don't feel good about it.
No, that's my Hail Mary. I had fun with that bet.
It's like your Vikings bet to win the NFC North. It just wasn't a good bet. You just don't feel good about that. You know, it's just...
No, it's just for fun.
All right, we'll move on to the Steelers here. So the thing about the Steelers is that we already saw them once. We saw them in the Hall of Fame game, and it really kind of went as expected. Najee Harris had 7 carries, which I think I said he was going to have like exactly 7 carries and maybe a couple of targets last week, which, I mean, shoot, that was a week before the Hall of Fame, and that was, you know, kind of a bold call at the time. And then Kalen Balazs, he was impressive, kind of like I thought he would be. He did end up scoring that touchdown. And then the receiver that I really wanted to be on the most was Chase Claypool, ended up scoring 9 DK points. Some people might be a little bit worried about his like rib injury and Tomlin maybe not playing them as much. He doesn't seem to ever care. So I think we can kind of just go back to the well with the Steelers. players as a whole, maybe the starters will get a little bit more opportunity. And I should mention that 2 of the running backs are now kind of banged up, so Harris might get a little bit more playing time. Now, for me, for the quarterbacks, I think I want to go more Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins, and probably favoring Dwayne Haskins a little bit more. I could see them all, or both of them, getting like around 15, passing attempts, which could be enough to do some damage. What about you for the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I'm going to go Dwayne Haskins in this one. I think he'll get a little bit more run. I mean, literally, how much more can you see out of Mason Rudolph? I'm not a big Mason Rudolph fan, but and Dwayne Haskins is the guy with the higher upside. They just got him on the team. They want to see what he can do. So I'm a fan of him there. And then one thing I will tell you, I'm like, as far as the running back room goes, and you kind of touched on it with Najee Harris and getting 7 carries exactly. Jalen Samuels played 21 snaps to Najee's 18. He had 11 carries, 1 reception. Boring. He was boring.
He sucks.
And classic Jalen Samuels. But it looks like Benny Snell and Caleb Lodge are expected to miss this one potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if that's the case, I like some opportunity there for Jalen Samuels.
Yeah, it really comes down to Harris potentially, and then I think we just play Harris. I guess real quick, if you had to rank, who'd you rather go, Harris or Stevenson?
I'd rather go Harris.
Harris? Okay. Yeah, I'm right in the middle there. I don't know what to do. But yeah, it's going to be maybe Jalen Samuels or maybe Anthony McFarland. That's not his name, is it? McFarland? Is it Anthony McFarland, the running back? Mm-hmm. All right. Shoot, I thought I was going crazy there. One of those two might get some, quality touches as well, and they could fall into the end zone like Kalen Ballage did. Well, Kalen Ballage powered his way into the end zone, let's be honest. But I don't mind that. So really just Najee Harris and then try and get lucky with one of the 2 quarterbacks. But I will say, I do really like the receiver situation here. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. I don't know if we can really predict which one of these 2 are going to dominate, but I think combined they're going to get like 15 DK points in this one. Just quality targets is pretty much what's going to happen here. Probably 4 targets each. They'll probably convert their catches, and I think they'll get 15 DK points each. Do you have an inkling of which one you'd want to go with, or maybe Juju Smith-Schuster instead?
Yeah, there's Juju there too. The floor guy out of the bunch. Honestly, I think I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson just for the sake of, Claypool had the injury last week or got banged up, shook up. A little bit of concern. I know it's not going to stop him, but there's still that element in the back of your mind where maybe Deontay gets a little bit more run.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Right. So, I'm going to take Deontay in this.
All right, so, I like that. So, honestly, though, just try and do a stack. I really don't mind just kind of going a full-out stack for the Steelers as a whole. You could go Harris, even with, like, Haskins, I think is kind of the one maybe to go with a little bit more, and then like one with Johnson and one with Claypool, and even maybe possibly going Steelers D, because we got my boy, my favorite head coach in the NFL, Nick Zarni here. I probably butchered his name, but I do like him as a offensive coordinator. Kind of questionable, Mr. Rock, Paper, Scissors there. Kind of questionable as a head coach so far, but he's coaching.
Hey, he is undefeated as a head coach so far.
And he's going to stay that way tonight, isn't he? Mr.
Certainly could, yes. That video, I still cannot get over it. For a reference, if you haven't seen it, the press conference as coach, pretty much referring to the pre-draft player interviews and talking about what he's asking these guys. And he's like, I just ask him a lot of things. I ask him to play rock, paper, scissors. Let's see how competitive they are. Do they talk trash back? I talk trash because I want to know how competitive they are. So we'll play all sorts of games. Just dumb, cliche, cringe answers and interview questions because I don't care. Your competitiveness. Yeah, I don't need to explain my thoughts on that. And of course, I saw Pat McAfee because I had to look this up. Of course, Pat McAfee starts breaking down his history playing rock, paper, scissors, and the most McAfee response ever. We get it. Of course, you're gonna like that when it's no, thank you. Yeah. And I like McAfee. It's just like, come on.
Honestly, if a head coach tried to do that with me, I'd be like, "This is stupid, coach. Can we talk football?" Like this.
Right, exactly. I would much rather, talk about the team, the philosophy, and and not rock, paper, scissors. No, thank you.
Yeah. So, let's talk about some quarterback philosophy here. So we got Joe Flacco as the QB2 in this room, a veteran presence. No real reason to get him snaps. You got Jamie Newman, who was just released by the team. So then we have Jalen Hurts and Nick Mullins as really the only two logical QB options. Yeah. Yeah. So
this is the QB play I'm almost always going to do. I'm so excited. Even more
which
than
one?
90.
Which one you going on? Let's hear it.
Nick Mullins.
Okay.
100%. I'm so excited about this. The first half, you're going to get that stout. You'll probably get some starters playing for the Steelers. It's going to be tough to really get going. You've got Jalen Hurts. I've got Jalen's on that brain. Against that defense, they're tough. They already have a week under their belt, and you have a brand new offense. You mentioned yesterday the coach already has said they're going to be pretty vanilla with the playbook. This isn't going to be the Jalen Hurts. I don't think this is going to be as telling for the regular season. We're not going to see a lot of him. We're not going to see some of the design plays and offensive formations and just everything that will benefit him, hopefully, in the regular season. It's not going to be great.
Yeah.
It's a tough matchup. But come second half, things are going to loosen up. You've got some younger guys out of position, so on and so forth. And you're going to get a lot of opportunity with Nick Mullins. So I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, dude. Nick Mullins going against like 3s and 4s, and he's like a fringe QB2, maybe starter in the league. He should get. He might. I mean, maybe touchdowns are tough to come by, but he should at least get like 7 DK points just passing the ball if he's going to play a full half. Honestly, it's highly appealing to me. And yeah, so kind of what you said about Jalen Hurts is that the coach kind of came out and said, we're not going to show the whole playbook here. I think it's going to be a lot like Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, kind of when they redesigned the whole playbook for him. He had some big plays in the preseason, and then they kind of shut it down. They're like, all right, that's enough. We're good. And they kind of just started running the ball a lot. And we might see that with the Eagles here, especially in the first half. So maybe a running back that we could target if they try to go that route, I guess, would be it's tough because we've seen him as a OC in Indy already. He does like to spread out the love at running back position. He typically likes to ride the hot hand. So it's going to be tough to pinpoint which one we should be playing with. But the one running back that had been getting some hype was Jason Huntley. And there's times where the beat reporters were saying that he was the best running back on the team for that specific practice. And I think that, that's probably more of an emphasis against, Miles Sanders being a little bit inconsistent and not looking all too good at, certain practices. But the point is that Huntley has been looking good, and he's a guy that could possibly burst a big run in this one. And, he's probably going to be low owned. So I don't mind that option, especially maybe if you are trying to hedge Nick Mullins. And I should mention Nick Mullins does have a questionable tag on DraftKings. He's not questionable. He wasn't listed on any injury reports. Couldn't find anything on Twitter saying that he's not going to play. So that should benefit us as well. But yeah, I don't mind Huntley. What are your thoughts? You got anything on any of the other running backs potentially?
I actually like Kenneth Gainwell in this situation. He actually in practice already, he's actually leading through practice reporting in receptions. And he's looks like the rookie that he was the best arguably of receiving back of the NFL draft, guy that opted out in 2020. But, that's one of the big reasons why his draft stock fell. So I'm excited, and he might line up as receiver a little bit, like just to get guys a rotation to see what he can do. I think there's a lot of good opportunity there. It looks obviously as if Miles Sanders and Boston Scott are locks at 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the opportunity could definitely come there for Gainwell. So I'm excited about him.
Yeah.
And I've got him in a couple of lineups.
Well, that's the thing with these, like, those passing down running backs, is like they really just need one big play to hit value, where someone like Huntley, it's more of a you're trying to get lucky, you're trying to get 7 carries where he could just Gainwell could get 1 catch and hit value just like that. So,
and let's be real, if you have a brand new offense, it might be a little bit vanilla against the defense that already has a week under their belt and looked lights out. You're going to get some checkdowns.
Yeah, I agree completely. So let's move down into the receiver spot. We probably have my favorite receiver in this slate. It's going to be Quez Watkins here, guys. He has been getting a ton of hype out of camp, and the hype out of camp really has been backed up, I think, by his play that we've seen a little bit in preseason film, really behind Devonta Smith, who has been getting a lot of hype out of camp. I mean, the Eagle fans and beat reporters tend to do this. Jalen Reagor was getting a ton of hype last year.
Preseason is right here. The first game.
Oh, man. It is here, though. But
it is. Preseason for us, too.
Yeah. Watkins, though, I'm just excited to see him play. He should see a decent amount of snaps, and they should be quality snaps. He'll probably get a little bit with Jalen Hurts, and he'll probably get a little bit with Nick Mullins as well, which, gets me excited. The only issue I guess I have with him is that there are a lot of quality backups in Philly, so it's not guaranteed. It's kind of like I was hyping up McCoy for the Steelers in the Hall of Fame game. And the Steelers have a lot of quality, backup receivers. That's kind of the same case for the Eagles here. So it is tough for me there, but he's the one receiver in this game, other than like De'Ami Brown, that I would want to go with the most. You got any feeling maybe Greg Ward, Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham, any of those guys you like?
Yeah, they're all guys. I mean, like they're all guys that had to be used quite a bit in the regular season this past year, just because of injuries and opportunity or lack thereof, and not much depth.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've seen all of these guys. Now it's just a matter of who's going to play when. Especially, I mean, when you have Devonta Smith, who's likely not going to suit up, so who's going to get the runs with the starters, and who are going to get the runs? Like who's going to get to play with Nick Mullins at quarterback? Who's the guy you're going to be able to stack towards the end of the game? That's who I'd be looking at. I mean, you look at this depth chart; it's intriguing, and it's a little bit hard to pinpoint outside of the clear cut guys between Reagor and Devonta Smith. So, yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's tough. I would maybe lean towards Fulgham, but again, I honestly I think you already got your guy there, and that's who I'd be rocking with too.
Yeah, and then just kind of another receiver that's actually playing in this game that is actually listed as a tight end. It's kind of the Taysom Hill special. We got Hakeem Butler. Now, yes, he was drafted as a receiver. The Eagles brought him in to test him out at tight end. Apparently, he couldn't block. I'm guessing that's the case, or he just couldn't get big enough. They switched him back over to receiver. So we can get a receiver tonight at the tight end spot. That's highly intriguing to me. Obviously, when tight ends are in the game, they're going to be blocking more. The offensive coordinator kind of wants to see what they can do in blocking assignments as well in the passing game, but it's not as guaranteed as we're running routes. So he's going to be running some routes out there, and so we can get a receiver at the tight end spot. That's highly intriguing to me. And then another guy that they're kind of testing out right now is former quarterback Tyree Jackson. They're trying to get Logan Thomas here pretty much is what's going on, and I guess he's been getting some hype out of camp. So he's another name that you could go ahead and test out. And honestly, these two are kind of the most owned players that I have on the slate. I went into the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer, $10 a month for anyone watching. You can just get access to that. All the information there for the NFL DFS package. I plugged those two into like 40% each. So 40% Hakeem Butler, 40% Tyree Jackson, and just fingers crossed because, you're just trying to get lucky at the tight end spot. And that's what I was going for there. With the tight end spot.
Honestly, I mean, I was thinking about Rich Rodgers, but it's the same thing where it's like
another guy.
You know what you've got with him, and he's another guy like RB 1, 2, and 3 right now, or sorry, tight end 1, 2, and 3. So by default, the opportunity is going to be there for him. So I like your take there.
Yeah. So let's just do you want to get into the betting of this game real quick? And then we'll
real
Thursday?
Quick. Eagles are 1-point favorites. I think that may have also moved a little bit. I think it was also 2 before, but I can't confirm that. The over-under is 36. I like the under in that. Honestly, it's going to come down to that second half. I think how sloppy and how sloppy do these teams get? And we kind of talked. We've talked about this too with Sirianni. He's you get the first year coach, competitive guy, in the cliche like preseason nature. Like, let's see how competitive he is. Like, will we get that competition from him in the second half in a meaningless game? Like where it comes down to maybe you have one drive and you're down at your own 10 and whatever the case may be, he might put his foot on the gas a little bit compared to other coaches where it's like, all right, let's wrap this game up and call it a day. So, I'll be honest, I took the Steelers just because of the 1 week advantage and these guys that already have reps. But I would not be surprised if the Eagles could sneakily pull away with this one. But regardless, I want to take the under.
If you could bet the Steelers in the first half, do that, and then
that's exactly what I was. That's exactly. You totally took the words out of my mouth because that was the argument I was going to make. I actually had that written down.
Yeah,
100%. Steelers in the first half, if you can. I have not found it on any of the apps I've been looking at. I've seen totals and I've seen over-unders and alternate lines and stuff, but I've not seen a first half.
If they had player props for this, oh my gosh, I would dominate that. That'd be nice.
Oh, I would love player props, but ultimately it's still pretty bare bones right now as we look ahead to the regular season. But hammer that first half for the Steelers if it's an opportunity.
All right, so let's just do a quick exercise here. We'll before we get into the Friday games, this will be the hard cutoff right after this. So let's just go over the Thursday recap, but we'll do it position by position. We'll both pick our favorite player at each position, okay? So I'll have you start with quarterback, and then I'll pick a quarterback, and then we'll go running back, and then we can only pick one, though, for this slate. So it'll be kind of like if we had to pick one, that's who we would do.
Okay, well, then, so going back to Washington and New England then,
No, just in general. One player at each position.
My bad. Okay, so one player at each position. Starting off with quarterback, then Nick Mullins, 100% for me.
I'll go Mac Jones then.
You're gonna go Mac Jones. Yep, that would be my number 2, and then Taylor Heineke number 3.
Number 3.
Running back. So I actually didn't hate the idea of Jalen Samuels. I'm gonna go with Gainwell.
You are all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Gainwell.
See, I feel pretty strongly that the top 3 will be Stevenson, Harris, and Taylor. I actually like Taylor too, but that's pretty good. We got about 5 solid running back choices here. So for me, it's gonna be Stevenson. As if I had to pick one, it'd be him. So who was your second there?
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go Gainwell, and then I would have gone Harris. I was thinking maybe Jalen Samuels just because of the reps that he got last game, and I think that's going to be relatively evident. And Kalen Ballage is expected to miss the last time I read. So I like Jalen Samuels there, but I think I'm going to go with Najee Harris just because of the sheer talent and people want to see him let loose, and he did exactly what he said he wanted in terms of getting opportunities and some reps.
Mm-hmm. And then so receivers, anyone? Did I talk you into anyone too much, or you got someone that you like?
The receivers, honestly, this has been the toughest thing for me. I'm gonna go just Deontay Johnson again, just out of this whole bunch, and I don't feel great about any of these. I would love to be able to stack like someone with Mullins. I just don't know who to rock with for that stack. So
Watkins, man, Watkins.
Yeah,
that's my one.
I'm going to take your word on it. I will take your word on it. So I'm going to follow your lead as far as receivers go, but I might toss in Deontay Johnson too.
Yeah. So since you took Mullins for me for my quarterback one, I will go actually for my receiver one to complete the stack. I'll go with Wilkerson for the New England Patriots just to kind of complete that stack. It just makes sense. And then for tight end, we don't really have to touch on it. I think Hakeem Butler, Tyree Jackson, and then even a little bit of Troy Fumagalli if you're trying to do some stacks.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And I kind of stand where I agree. Again, the Eagles receiving core or tight end core, I think there's some opportunity there. But again, that offense, I don't expect a lot of scoring. That's why I like Gainwell. I like him for the dump offs and his opportunity to maybe break free once or twice.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, so we are covering the Thursday night preseason games now, or the Friday night preseason games. Just got done doing the Thursday night preseason games. If you're new to the channel, you can definitely leave a chat in there. We'll get your questions answered. If any slate breaking news comes up, make sure to put that in the chat as well. We can cover that for you guys. But covering the Friday games. I'm pretty excited for it. They don't have that available. I was trying to do some quick lineups on the 9 to 5 lineup optimizer.
I
and
know. I was
sucks.
checking some stuff out, and there's not a lot of info yet.
Yeah, it's just not out there. Like the last game that we'll cover, it's going to be Cowboys Cardinals. I do not have a good feeling for that game at all just yet. The first two I feel pretty good about, but that Cowboys Cardinals don't really have anything for it, to be honest with you.
Definitely feels like a stay away game. I mean, we got a little bit of intel from week 1. We'll see for the Cowboys. We'll see how much it translates.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they're a couple fun little matchups here. I'm excited about probably what we'll end up covering second if we go down the list.
Okay, so yeah, we'll start off with, I guess, Titans Falcons. Is that the correct first game?
Yes, that's the correct first game.
All right, there we go.
At least what I have written down here.
Yeah.
So this one I'm a little lukewarm on. I have a couple of approaches, but anyways, let's get right to it.
So I got a very fun stat for you. Okay, so
Ooh, let's go.
in week 1 of the NFL preseason, the Titans have committed to the run. Okay, but in general in the preseason, they have had 13 passing TDs and 0 rushing TDs. Like, what? How does that even happen? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, that's a stat that, like, if this was golf or something, or even season long, I'd be like, it's due to regress hard back the other way. Like, there's going to be 12 rushing touchdowns this preseason. But maybe, like I said, coaches tend to have these tendencies that that's just kind of how they do it. And maybe they just like to throw it more when they're on the goal line. They got Derrick Henry. They know that they're going to just, ground and pound it with him in there if they have to. Maybe that's why they're throwing it more on the goal line. I don't really, it's just a weird stat. 13-0. Insane.
Yeah, it's wild too. And I mean, I'll honestly, when it comes down to the Titans in the red zone, just in general, there are times where it always seems like, just give it to Henry every dang play.
Yeah.
And they don't, whether it's just to keep the defense honest where they're stacking the box and they see the mismatches and opportunities there. But that's still fascinating though, especially considering the fact that, I mean, how much run is Henry going to get? And they've been committing to the run. And yeah, I mean, I think outside of now with the new weapon in Julio, on this offense, you lose John Smith, you have Ferkser around. There is that element of these backups and these other receivers. We don't really know too much of what we have to work with. So who will get the opportunities and maybe let's just test these guys out. And that was kind of the case last year, maybe arguably a little bit more depth last year, but not as strong at the starter position. Now I think it's even more evident. And I think where it's pretty top heavy on this roster. So they might be taking some more shots where, I mean, at the end of the day, you lose Derrick Henry on your offense, chances are you're going to be in trouble regardless of who your backup is, unless you have someone in your back pocket.
That's why I feel like you would want to get a good look at some of these guys at the goal line.
Right.
Which is kind of weird to me. I'm just looking at it. Their running backs that they have on their roster: McNichols, Henry, Blossomgame, and Hill. And then the one player that I think that makes the most sense to get snaps is going to be Darrington Evans. Okay, they did have a running back at double-digit carries in Week 1 in 2018 and 2019. Yeah, that's something I think to look at. And he should get a decent amount of snaps, but it's just like, I don't know, that 0 TDs thing. It's either going to regress pretty hard here in this preseason, or it's just like a sign of things to come. So for me, he's really the only running back for the Titans I have any interest in. And then quarterback wise, we got a little bit of a QB battle going on between Logan Woodside and Matt Barkley, both household names, obviously. I mean, shoot, God, what have they done in the NFL? Pretty much nothing. I don't really have a good feel for either of those two quarterbacks for that Friday slate here. It's tough. It's tough to really know which one to play, if any of them. Do you have a feeling for which one you would want to play? I know Woodside played decently in the last preseason, but
yeah, I mean, I would maybe go with Woodside. Barkley, he was recently signed. I mean, Woodside, he's knows the playbook, all the cliches there. Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip, but I would maybe go for Woodside just for that sake. Where Barkley might, he'll get some run and he'll try and help with a little bit of veteran experience, help out some of these receivers and put them in good places and everyone surrounding him.
Yeah.
But I would go Woods out of the bunch.
I will say, just like the Thursday slate has some great QB plays, and the Saturday slate is just freaking loaded. This Friday slate doesn't, which is it is what it is. And that being said, there's not really any receivers that I like for the Titans either. Maybe Cameron Batson or Dez Fitzpatrick. They're just names to me. Nothing that I want to go crazy with.
Yeah, no, I agree. And ultimately, I think this offense, despite the fact that there were no rushing touchdowns last year and a lot of passing touchdowns, yeah, I kind of agree with you on Darrington Evans in terms of the opportunity, and I think he'll be kind of the anchor to the offense in the preseason, especially this week.
Yeah. So we can move into the Falcons then. I think we got another kind of decent quarterback room in terms of preseason DFS. They only rostered 3 quarterbacks as of right now. Matt Ryan's not really expected to play all too much. Probably get maybe 3 series if he does play, max 3 series. That leaves a quarterback kind of battle, if you will, between undrafted rookie free agent Felipe Franks, who Franks, he was good in Florida, got injured, then got replaced by Kyle Trask, and then went to Arkansas. He was okay. He's kind of just another name. They're liking him in the camp. It's kind of one of those situations where are the fans and the beat reporters just like buying into the storyline with him? They're kind of like the hype. They like the story. It kind of seems like that for Franks, but they also have AJ McCarron there as well. I kind of think that Franks will get a full half of play. It's just how good is he? That's kind of the issue. Maybe if we get news that Matt Ryan is going to sit, maybe McCarron becomes appealing as well.
Well, and honestly, that's a good point. And I don't know, like this hype train for Kyle Pitts continues on this offense, and it's going to continue. We're not in prime season-long fantasy draft. Like we haven't quite hit the prime draft ADP for a lot of these guys. And Pitt's irrational overhype, and don't get me wrong, I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah.
But from a season-long fantasy standpoint, whatever. But I've got just a feeling, especially no matter who's at quarterback, maybe McCarron, this is the classic case where a defense isn't necessarily going to zone in on this guy yet. You're going to get a lot of vanilla one-on-one matchups in which, if you're a quarterback, you're under pressure regardless of who you are. Why not throw a jump ball and take advantage of that mismatch with his size? And again, I just feel like from a narrative standpoint, you're going to maybe get a look at Kyle Pitts. And if you do, like, this is going to be the fantasy of fantasy football for everyone this offseason to irrationally confirm what they're thinking with Kyle Pitts heading into the regular season. And hey, you know what? I hope he ends up being as big of a stud for a rookie tight end as possible. But anyways, so I kind of like McCarron and maybe stacking him with Kyle Pitts just as long as they get enough reps.
Yeah, so I don't mind that. It's a good idea to try it. Obviously, stack it. We could go McCarron. We could go Pitts. We got Hawkins here, who is a rookie running back, kind of a scat back, a smaller back, slasher type back. In one of his pretty much active season in college, he had 1,500 rushing yards and 9 TDs. So, obviously he's a big play guy. Maybe you get a touchdown there from him, and then obviously Kyle Pitts there, and then maybe go with rookie receiver Frank Darby. It's another one of those players that people have liked out of camp for receiving wise. I don't mind him. It's a good stack. Let's say you want to just not do a stack though. One running back that I don't mind is Caleb Hunter. He's kind of more of a bruiser type running back. Solid producer out of Ball State, just kind of another name, but they are trying to find a running back to potentially be their future running back.
And honestly, I hope they actually invest into really finding out who that guy is, especially after, last year they brought in Todd Gurley. It was, he had some flashes, but you know what you're going to get. I mean, as these veterans age a little bit, and I think and don't get me wrong, I think Mike Davis was definitely serviceable, and he was able to make the most out of his opportunities in Carolina last year. And I think what this feels like to me, this is and of course I'm doing a Minnesota comparison, but the Latavius Murray signing when they acquired him, and they had Dalvin Cook. But do they have their Dalvin Cook yet to outshine him? I don't know.
We'll find out tonight.
We're going to find out exactly. So hopefully the opportunities come. And if I'm this coaching staff, I 100% am going to be at least trying to see what they have in their back pocket.
Yeah. Any feel for this game betting wise? I personally, I guess I like the Falcons a little bit more.
Yeah, Falcons are 1 point favorite right now. Over under 38. Potential revenge game for the new coach.
Yep.
Even if it is preseason, he knows the team. I mean, there are all those factors there. I think. The Falcons have been a good offensive team, and I'm torn on this because also you also have the element too in this, like from a betting standpoint. I'm gonna dabble, but you also have the factor of Mike Vrabel is very much a good team head coach, and I mean you look at that roster, like outside of their starters, there's not a lot of name recognition.
That's true.
It's next man up type of mentality with this team. Not a lot of household names. Guys that are able to come in when needed and make an impact and help out this team. So from a philosophy standpoint, I kind of like the Titans, but I think I'm going to go with the Falcons. I'm backpedaling already from yesterday.
I got you. I like them a little bit more. So we are running on, just over an hour here. So we'll try to make this last game a little bit quicker, I guess, if you will, for Friday's slate. We got the Bills versus the Lions here. It's a game that I kind of like. I should note that the Bills are most likely going to be without Zach Moss and Christian Wade, both running backs, which to me makes the running back room pretty interesting as a whole. That means we're going to have, probably a little bit of Matt Breida, but Matt Breida has been pretty much injury prone kind of his whole career. He's a guy that you don't want to get too many snaps with. So you might try to get a good look at someone like Antonio Williams, who he looked really good in week 17 of the NFL season last year. Had over 20 DK points in that one. And I kind of think he could be a dark horse to potentially even take over the RB1 spot on this team. For me, he's really the only kind of standout RB play on the slate if that injury news stays consistent. So he's kind of the dark horse player for me for the Bills season long and for week 1 of the NFL preseason. Do you got any real strong plays in this one? Any quarterback love, any Trubisky love or anything like that?
I'm loving Trubisky this week. And last time I was on here, I said that.
That's why it's been so long.
And yeah, exactly. And that was the game when Nick Foles came in to save the day against the Falcons. So I'm 0 for 1 on my liking of Trubisky, but we do know the fact that Josh Allen is not likely to play this week, and with that comes the opportunity for Mitch Trubisky, a guy who's typically done well in situations where he doesn't have to think so much. He is typically a one-read quarterback. He's a guy that likes to get out in the pocket and scramble and do his own thing. He's already said in interviews that he is like happy to be there because he's feels welcomed. Kind of maybe throwing a little shade at Chicago fans, but he really and just the organization. But he feels welcome in Buffalo, so he's in a good place. He's excited to be there. This is classic, Trubisky opportunities where there's no pressure, get nothing to lose. So I really like Trubisky for the Friday slate for sure.
I like that. Yeah. If you're
I was
trying
going to also confirm on it. I was also going to confirm on Antonio Williams too. It looked great week 17 last year when he had the opportunities, and I by opportunity in this situation where you've got Zach Moss a little bit banged up. He was getting the first team reps. This running back field is nasty for the regular season, but come preseason, all bets are off. So I like that pick as well. You could get creative with this stack.
Oh yeah, so like if we gotta try to find tight ends. We already found Kyle Pitts as probably a solid option. Another tight end option could be Jacob Hollister, who he was a preseason darling, I think, like 3 years ago with the Patriots. Now he's found his way to the Bills here. He's a great pass catching tight end. Apparently he's gotten some chemistry with both Josh Allen and Mitchell Trubisky. That's a little bit appealing to me if we're trying to find a pass catcher, because that's the only one I could find really. And then just moving down into the Lions here real quick, it's kind of the same situation where we get maybe not the best running back, but we're going to get a running back that's probably going to get a lot of reps in this one. The Detroit Lions are pretty banged up. You got DeAndre Swift, he's injured. Jamar Jefferson was recently released because he was injured. They signed Javon Leake as a result. So really, they got 3 active running backs as of right now. They might sign someone and whatnot. Someone might get healthy, but Javon Leake, who they just signed on Tuesday, Jamal Williams, the veteran running back, and then Mills Dietrich is the running back that I really like in this one. He's a guy out of Nebraska. Now, he did look good in like small sample sizes, I guess, if you will, in Nebraska. That's what you like about him, but he wasn't overly productive. The stats weren't really there, but still, opportunity is all you need in preseason DFS. He could easily score, 5 DK points on 20 carries or something like that, and that'll be good enough for us in this one. What are your thoughts kind of in this game as a whole? Anyone that you love? Wait, I should mention too, receiver-wise, Cephas, Ratley, and Henson are all injured as well.
Yeah, no, I actually was going to take Dietrich Mills too, just because the opportunity. The Lions are a team that invested quite a bit in their offensive line this offseason. Obviously you have Penny Sewell as far as the recent draft pick. We don't know what will happen there necessarily, but with very thin roster right now, running back, you're going to get a lot of opportunity. You've got just probably the most boring QB room right now, I feel like, in the league. I'm more excited by the Washington football team QB room because you've got the very inconsistent and unpredictable Fitzmagic, who can go off at any time and be just god awful, and also Taylor Heineke. There's that excitement there. But you're looking at Jared Goff, Tim Boyle, and David Blow, just at 1, 2, and 3. So I think there's definitely going to be some opportunity to get this running game going. This Dan Campbell character is very much a old school type of football coach. The over under, if the over under of him being a coach for this team is 1.5 seasons, I'm hammering the under. He's just a cliche clown, but old school football, running the ball, building that offensive line, winning in the trenches. He's going to get a first look at that week 1 here of the of the preseason. So yeah, I'm totally with you on Mills.
Yeah, and then really just the other receiver play that I like in this one is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I guess he's been getting a ton of hype out of camp, and really just kind of going back to Dietrich Mills. Opportunity matters. With how banged up the Detroit Lions are, it seems like he could get a decent amount of opportunities. So for me, it's kind of clear cut. You kind of want to stack the Bills-Lions game just because the players that are there are going to get a decent amount of reps, and they're kind of more obvious. Other players are going to be kind of just dart throws.
Now, I will tell you, and another option I'm excited about, despite my ripping of the QB room for the Detroit Lions, you've got Tim Boyle, you've got Jamal Williams, you've got Geronimo Allison, 3 former Packers that have chemistry, and they've worked in those second teams and getting the reps. And you have this new offense, and you're probably not going to see much. And of course, my thoughts already on Dan Campbell. So you might get some opportunities there where they'll just rely on their chemistry and less on the X's and O's and everything because at the end of the day, Tim Boyle, is he probably QB2? Yeah. But, and Geronimo Allison, these guys, do they probably have a roster spot locked? Yeah, maybe Geronimo, maybe the outside, maybe. The least likely out of the bunch.
They're definitely better than practice squad players.
Right, exactly. But still, they're probably going to have to look out for each other, and they need to take advantage of these opportunities as much as it's a matter of getting their teammates looks too, despite younger guys and maybe guys with better skill sets. So I also like the potential of that former Packer stack right there.
Dude, I kind of like that call. That's something that I didn't see at all, but it does make sense. The backup to backup connection, I think, is a true thing. I like that call.
Yeah,
so,
they already have the chemistry. They know each other. They've done practices for years.
Oh yeah,
together. So you get that combination in a brand new offense, a new coaching staff, and a team that does not have a culture of winning per se. Yeah. When you definitely have had that a little bit in Green Bay, despite the drama this offseason. You still have a franchise that gets it.
Yeah.
And so you get that in Detroit now, and Yeah, no, I love that idea.
All right, but I think that will pretty much wrap it up. Obviously, if there's updates that come on Friday's slate, we'll make sure to tweet that out, give you guys those updates there. But thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, obviously give a like and subscribe. Friday should be a decent one. Saturday's going to be an even better one. I'll have the write-ups available on 9to5sports.com, as well as all the good tools there for preseason data. Eric Paulzine with 9to5 Sports. I'm out. Isaac, you got a send off for Brooks Radio at all? Anything?
At Brooks Radio, if you are in the state of Indiana or pretty much any state where gambling is legalized and sports betting apps, not gambling legalized, sports betting apps are legal, definitely suggest downloading the WinBet app. Just started launching across all sorts of markets, and I'm super excited to be partnering with them. They are going to have some amazing opportunities, and I can't wait to share more heading into the regular season. So you can follow me at Brooks Radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and stay tuned for more on that.
The best TikToks in the biz. All right, we're out, guys. And as always, let's keep cashing.